I just wanted to say hello. My name is Shane Bassett, the movie analyst, and I'm here to talk to Deborah Conway, doing a round of live appearances. And it's an absolute pleasure to actually meet you and talk to you.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here, Shane. Appreciate the chat.
Is it a bit of a traveling roadshow, what you're about to embark on, you and Willie?
Well, we embarked on it a while back. So I wrote a book, which I started in 2019, the end of 2019, November. And then, of course, lockdown happened in Melbourne. It happened very severely. Victoria was kind of locked down for close to 2 years.
Yeah.
And I just never got off the couch. I did my back in working on this book. I wrote 210,000 words, which of course has been knocked back to a much more respectable 95,000, which is around 400 pages. But in the meantime, the lockdown was still going on, and we had more time on our hands. So we wrote a show as well, which is called, so the book is called Book of Life, which is a memoir. And the show is called Songs from the Book of Life. And that that actually hit the road in between lockdown, having to reschedule in a draft format, off Broadway, if you like, through 2022.
Okay.
And then come 2023, we got all grown up, and the Art Centre Melbourne, got really interested and co-pro'd it with us, and we presented at the Fairfax Theatre in October. It was also on at the Brisbane Festival, so we had pretty good crowd there too. I think that was our first one of that year. But so we're really thrilled to be coming back to Queensland and putting it on again. And it's we've just done the Sydney Festival, 2 sold-out shows there, so that was great, and people really like it. So
well, that's good to hear. I know you'd done it for a little while, but I thought they were sort of more prototypes and you were sort of fleshing it out. But what you're traveling around with now is the final product. Does it change up from night to night at all?
No, it's a theatrical show. It's not improvised in any way.
Okay.
Unlike a music, just a straight concert that Willie and I might play. It's there are scenes. There are 8 scenes, around 8 songs, and there are sets and lights and dialogue, and there's choreography, and I've learned a whole lot of script, and it's there is movement, stage left, stage right, prompt off, prompt, all that kind of stuff. So there's lots of new challenges for us. It's been really fun and very hard work, which is also I like hard work. Keeps me off the streets, and
that's good to hear.
Yeah. I've abandoned my criminal career.
Well, I'm going to get to that. The book's kind of like no holds barred. So is the show no holds barred, or is it family friendly? What would you say?
Oh, yeah, I'd say it's reasonably family friendly. I mean, I don't know. Someone else might have to answer that question. I don't know. I think there's maybe the tiniest of language warnings.
Sure.
But I mean, what 12-year-old?
Well, that's true.
They're probably bluer than me. So yeah, no, it's pretty fair. There's no nudity.
Why does your music still resonate, do you think? I mean, everything old is new again, I believe, and retro in particular just never gets old. But why does your music still resonate, in your own words?
Well, I don't think we've stayed still. I don't think this is not a show about resting on the laurels of the late 80s, early 90s either. It's definitely, and musically we have stayed true to ourselves, growing up in the 21st century and the experiences that we've had that we relate to in this millennium, socially, culturally, politically, spiritually, all of those things. So I guess we speak to the people that are growing up, our contemporaries, that are experiencing the same things. So maybe that's a reason. But also, there are songs that for some reason never get old, even though they are, in fact, over 30 years old. So, that's great too. I'm grateful for that. But, I think, well, we've done both, I guess. So, and we always wanted to give the show the best chance of working. And so,
yeah,
we covered quite a few bases, but
the title Book of Life, was it always going to be that? It's an interesting title because it relates to a lot of different things, and it's almost like a commonly said phrase as well. Were you ever going to call it something else?
No.
Okay.
Book of Life is the title of a song,
yeah,
which appeared on 2013 Stories of Ghosts.
Yeah.
Book of Life refers to a metaphorical or literal book, depending on how, what kind of a believer you are, that in Jewish faith, you pray to God to be inscribed on the Jewish New Year.
Yeah.
And 10 days later, on the Day of Atonement, you pray to be sealed in the Book of Life, which, ostensibly means that you're going to live for another year. The song itself is actually about people who are very close to us who decided that they didn't want to live for another year.
Okay.
But when I was thinking about a title for the book, that just seemed so obvious because, hey, it's a book. It's my life. So Book of Life seemed, there were lots of, what was I going to call it? It's only the beginning.
Hey,
boy, that would have been a cheese sandwich with melted cheese on top and sprinkled cheese on top of that. So no, but I don't know. Book of Life seemed like a good title, and it certainly, it resonated for me. So
yeah. What about why now? Like, I know it's been gestating and it's been getting written for quite some time, but could you have written it 10 years ago? Do you think? Why is now the time to have the book and the show together? Could it have worked 10 years ago?
I think that the music industry is difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that I wanted to challenge myself creatively in a different way. And I like writing. I've always liked writing. And I wanted to write. I wanted to kind of clear out my memory cupboard in a way.
Yeah.
I don't have a great memory, and so, and I've got diaries and photo albums and whatever, letters, receipts, faxes, la la la, all of the detritus of a life. Huh?
You still have faxes? I don't think they still exist.
Yes, I do. I actually do, and they're faded, but they're readable. Actually, yeah, no, I know. I pulled them out the other day. When I say the other day, quite a year or two ago.
Right.
And I got a young friend of mine paid her to transcribe them and put them in a less deteriorating form, let's say. But so I'd always written a lot, and I just wanted to collate this material so that I didn't have to keep thinking about how I would remember all of this stuff, because
And you said that there was a lot that wasn't included in the book, and you love writing. Would it ever be turned into a screenplay, maybe, with an actor playing yourself?
Well, I don't know that that's up to me, but if somebody wanted to do it, I'd certainly be very happy.
You'd be up for it then if it was, someone wanted to do it as a project?
Sure, why not? Who would say no to that?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Who's going to play me? I don't know. Like, Zoe, what's her name? I don't know. I can't think of the actor's name, but or maybe my daughter. Who knows? Anyway, no, I don't think I have it. It's not a topic I've entertained, Shane. But if it came up, sure. But I don't know. Do many autobiographies get turned into TV shows?
Well, other than your voice, one of the things that captivated me when I was young and impressionable and listening to music was your style, your look. You have a very significant, unique look. The wild hair and the outfits and everything. Do you get
That was
recognised
the
when you
80s.
walk down the
Everybody
street?
had wild hair and the outfits.
But you
Everybody.
still have that look, you know, the curls and everything, and you're modelling, and I mean, it's a style that you haven't really ever changed, or have you? Then I don't know about it.
No, I think my old friend Martin Armiger, R.I.P., used to call my style high dag. I thought that was pretty good. I liked that. Yeah, I don't think, yes, it's true. I don't know that I have it changed in any significant
No,
way.
I
But
don't think
I
so.
mean, obviously, you dress for stage,
Yeah,
and then you dress for gardening, and you dress to go to a family
fair
dinner.
enough.
So
Do you get
I don't know.
recognised
I've
walking
never
down the
really
street?
never worn high heels. I've never worn plunging cleavage. They're just things that I,
Right.
yeah, and so I still don't. So
What about down? But people recognise you of all age groups, and when you're walking down the street, is that something that happens?
that's another funny story actually, which I didn't include. But I remember getting dressed up to go down the cross,
Yeah.
like in the early 90s, I think it was.
Okay.
And I had a blonde wig, and I put this blonde wig on. And I was with a fella, and we were doing some naughty things. So we wanted to be kind of incognito.
Right. That's all right.
And someone yells out from across the street, "Hey, Deb!" So it failed miserably.
That didn't work.
I don't know. Clearly, it's not my hair, Shane. Obviously.
It's your eyes, your mouth, the cheekbones. It's everything. Trust me, it's all still happening. It looks fantastic. You're amazing. What about the music industry in general? I think you'd be a really good person to ask. I mean, having gone through it for so many decades, is it better now than it was? Are you getting female equality? Were you ever treated unfairly? Did you have any any hurdles along the way that you can talk about? Things have changed, obviously. They're progressive.
Obviously I have detail. I don't know if you read the book yet, but I have detailed a lot of that stuff in the book.
Yeah.
But I argue that I never felt discriminated against or at a disadvantage for being a woman. That was it never was an issue for me. But I've always thought that musicians and record companies are arch enemies, and that record companies are there in order to what's the word? To make sure that they exploit artists as much as possible, because young artists are male or female, makes no difference.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, and really excited about doing their creative thing, and not particularly wise about business, and not necessarily suspicious that these people who are saying all these wonderful things to them and telling them how terrific they are actually going to rob them blind, which is really how it works. And it's because it works on every record company, kind of works pretty much. I'm sure there are exceptions. Of course, there are exceptions, but the basis is that they can, and so they do. And so the musicians end up making these wonderful records that sell, particularly in Australia, because there's just not the population to sell as many records as it would take to pay back the debts. And I detail, do a mathematical sum. It's very,
Yeah, you do.
in the book about, how that works. And it's incredibly dishonest. But, everybody just grins and smiles and goes along, and, and then 15 years later, and they're wondering why they've still got this enormous debt when they've sold, 80,000 copies of the record and haven't seen a single penny. It's like just extraordinary. And of course, you don't figure it out until way too late. Now, I think that with all of the people, like me and so many others besides, who have, been sounding the warning for years, I'm sure that there are young artists now that really do avoid these pitfalls. But, I still see it. I still see it. reasonably recently, this wonderful young female duo who were just on top of the world, and they, were selling out shows everywhere, and were, had a very successful record. And I'm not going to name names, but, and came back to Australia, and suddenly they realized they're in debt to this management company and this record company for tens and tens of thousands of dollars. And just like, and I'd said to them, don't sign it, don't sign it away, don't sign it away. But, excited. And I get it. And everybody's saying all the lovely things.
All the right things, yeah.
Yeah. So, once again, but it's not because they're women. It's because, there's this beautiful naivety that the industry tends to take advantage of. Now, there are individuals in the industry who have behaved wonderfully, but I think they tend to be the exception rather than the rule. And publishers always behave better than record companies, but that's because, it's a sort of more nurturing relationship, and it becomes, it's sort of like a mother-father situation, in some way or another.
Okay.
There's some kind of parallels there. But is it better now? Well, as I said, I think, obviously the technologies are such that you don't have to be in debt to a record company. You can make your own record in your back room. You can get it out there, manufacture it, or streamed. You don't even have to bother making a CD. No one has CDs players in their cars or their computers anymore anyway. So you can get it streamed. You can do all your own PR promotion on your Facebook and social media pages, la, la, la.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can, and maybe it is better, but it's just really, really difficult to make a living out of it. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. 6 of one, half of it is the other. It's tough. It was tough then, and it's tough now. And the people at the bottom of the pyramid are always the artists.
Yeah, no, that's sad but true. 95% of the time, I know what you're saying. And you're praising the technology. Then you like the fact you can stream, and there's things like Spotify and Apple Music now, rather than CDs as such, because the charts, obviously it's harder to know what sells and what doesn't sell, I guess.
You can't bolt the stable door after the horse is bolted. There's just no point asking the question, really, because because it just is. I mean, I have a feeling, records, vinyl has made a comeback, a resurgence.
Yeah.
Yep. And I suspect that CDs might too, because why not? At some point, people will turn around and go, oh, they're really cute, aren't they? They're really lovely little shiny artifacts that you can properly see the, I don't know. It feels like there's absolutely the possibility that CDs might make a comeback, even if it's, in a small way. So look, CDs are obviously very good for an artist like me. I mean, vinyl's impossible because it's so hard to take on the road. It's really expensive to manufacture, and then once you've got it, you have to lug these things around, because largely that's the way artists, in my situation, sell their merchandise after shows. So that's really hard.
Well, cassettes, they're smaller.
CDs are obviously easier. Cassettes.
What about cassettes?
Who's making cassettes these days?
You can put a cash single.
Who's making those, and who's got cassette players? Anyway, look, who buys CDs? Country people, lovely country. If you go out to Victorian regional, New South Wales, Queensland regional, people have got their CDs. They've got their old cars. They've got their older computers. They've still got their old stereo systems. They buy CDs. That's nice. That's nice. I like it. Still got plenty of CDs, but I don't know that I would be manufacturing a new one. I've got lots of songs, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. So, yeah, interesting times, really interesting times. And I don't have a crystal ball, and I have no idea, but I don't, and my two of my daughters out of 3 are musicians.
Yeah. Okay.
Or, one of them's a jazz musician.
Yep.
Jazz singer. And I mean, nice. She actually makes money. It's pretty crazy.
What about acting? I've spoken to Eric Roberts at length about various movies, including The Coca-Cola Kid. How did you end up in that movie?
So who was the name you said again?
Oh, Eric Roberts. I've spoken to him at length about The
Eric
Coca-Cola
Roberts.
Kid. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Eric Roberts. He's American,
Yes.
Canadian.
American. Yeah. No, you were in The
Vaguely.
Coca-Cola Kid.
Yeah, right. Yeah. With Dushan Makaveyev, the director. Um,
Yes.
I was so briefly in it. I
I
mean,
know.
I boom onto stage with a camera, I think. I mean, I
Yeah.
honestly haven't seen it since the 80s when it came out.
Right.
I went onto stage with a camera, and then I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
I
it.
can't
But
remember.
it's still prominently you, and I
Across.
just thought you remember it. But what about some of your other acting? I mean, there are small roles, like Prospero's books. Do you remember being part of that with?
Prospero's Books, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, well,
yeah.
that was very memorable. Very memorable. It was kind of
Peter
like a
Greenaway.
shooting a giant video. Yes. The last film that Peter Greenaway and Michael Nyman made together.
Yeah.
Uh, they had a pretty terrible falling out after that. Mm.
I saw Michael Nyman live at the State Theatre in Sydney, and I was like in the second row. He was touring and he did all the piano music at the time. That was what was quite big, but other work as
What year
well.
was
And
that?
he was outstanding. Would have been early 90s because that's when the piano was released. So it was around
Yeah,
that.
I brought him out at the I brought him out for the Queensland Music Festival,
Oh, wow. Okay.
which I was artistic director for 2009 and 2011. I think I brought him out for the 2011. Maybe 2009. I can't remember now.
He
I
was
brought out Randy
brilliant.
Newman, Dan Hicks, and Michael Nyman. So yeah, and Subramaniam, the violin player, was pretty astounding too. Yeah,
That's an
fun
incredible
time.
lineup.
Yeah. They were good. They were all really good.
Is acting something you wish you could have done more of, or was it selective? Because I just rewatched Running on Empty as well, only yesterday, and
Oh no,
that was a
poor
blast from the
thing.
past.
That was I thought I was terrible.
You
But
have some great earrings. You wear some really nice earrings in that movie, and you have a
great.
couple of great dresses and outfits. The
Have
acting
you
from
read this bit?
everybody is kind of questionable, I guess.
Yeah. It was pretty terrible. It was a pretty terrible film. But hey, it became a cult movie, which was so curious. And but I don't know that I could have ever turned that to my advantage and become an actress on the basis of that. But look, I've been really enjoying acting in my show, and I think I've sort of I've lost. I think when you're young, you're kind of more inhibited.
Sure.
Acting is hard. You have to lose your inhibitions. You have to be completely something else and unashamed to be it. And I wasn't able to do that then. I'm more able to do it now, even though I'm actually just playing myself. But yeah.
Before we wrap it up, there's a couple more questions I wanted to ask you about the music industry in particular. What about shows? Do you remember shows like Sounds and Countdown, of course, and the MTV Rock Arena? Like, we don't really have them anymore. Would you agree? Do you think that if we had shows like that, they would help young artists?
There was some decision made by all of the television executives quite some time ago that no one was interested in watching music on TV. Right. And so we got to this absolutely insane moment in time where if you had a new record out and you wanted to play it, you had to go on Q&A to do it. That's where we got to. There was a tiny bit of daytime TV. There were no music shows. And I remember talking to Katrina Sedgwick, who was, head of ABC programming at the time, and saying, there's no Countdown, there's no Rock Arena, there's nothing. There was a John Foreman show that made a brief appearance. I can't remember what it was called, but
Okay.
They canned that too. Every new attempt that people tried to resurrect the form,
yeah,
I don't know, seem to hit a brick wall. No
Yeah,
one
sad.
appeared. Apparently, it seemed that no one wanted to watch it. So I don't know. I mean,
We'll
I
see
can't
what
say why,
happens. You never know.
but
It might.
there's endless amounts of YouTube and there's endless amounts. But yes, I do think that. I mean, look, Countdown was a golden age for people who were releasing music into the marketplace. And if you could get on that show, you were the water cooler moment around the office all across the nation for a week. That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Now
Warnings
we
moving
have
clockwise.
What?
Warnings moving clockwise, probably the best performance out of many that I've seen on that show from clips. It was really good.
Oh, thank you.
And finally, I mean, what would you be doing if you weren't a performer? If you weren't a singer, songwriter, performer, what occupation do you think Deborah Conway would be doing?
I don't know. I think, well, now I've become an author. Maybe I could have become an author earlier, but I don't think so. No, I don't know. I mean, that's an unanswerable question.
Okay.
I'm a troublemaker. Maybe
You've
I could
matured though. You look at you. You're very mature. You have a great personality still. That's not changed, and you have opinions. So that's a good thing.
Agitator.
I'm not saying that.
No, I just did. I don't know. I'm clutching at straws.
Well,
Yeah,
I
think for my skill set, I think that that performance and music and songwriting and all of the, I mean, there are, my job or my career has encompassed so many different strands of different ways of being creative. So, I mean, hey, blessed, really.
Blessed. I'll say you've got an aura about you. And final words with your show. Why should people go and see it? What will they expect? And if they can't go, will there be like a video version of it or a streaming version of it at some point, maybe?
Okay, so I think expect the unexpected. It is a musical, theatrical distillation of a memoir. It's interactive with technologies that we have been able to get our hands on. We have invested time, energy, and treasure into the most wonderful set, and we are, doing all kinds of things with that set. It is unlike any show that I have ever been involved with. So, I mean, I think it's a great night out at the theatre. I think it's a really interesting way to tell a story. It's surprising. Each scene, you end up in a very different place to the last, and there's no way of predicting what happens next. And so I think that, so far, audiences have laughed, have cried, have stood up at the end and have applauded wildly. And then they've gone out and bought the book. So, no, there's not going to be a video, I think, of it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it would be it's not on the cards. But there is an audio book if
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is the book of life, but it could also be it's only the beginning. I know we discussed that. I like that.
Okay. You can have it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deb.
I love your tie, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's my favorite color.
Robert De Niro, the green shirt and green tie. Very good. Casino. Remember that?
I do. Yeah. And what about, is it a bit you in the 80s? Because there were some colorful things happening in your outfits around in the 80s and 90s.
Definitely. We had a beautiful green velvet dress that Alma wears, actually.